Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
I expect to have a few extra stories when we take a week off. I did not realize that we were just going to open the floodgates of news, and it's like a variety hour this week. There's so much news across such a wide spectrum in the world of politics. It's crazy.
I don't like the way you open the show, Brad. I think you need to tell the people the truth. And since you're probably not going to, I guess I'll just dime you out. Look, the reason we were out last week is because Brad, a lot of people don't know this, it has been secretly working with the Republican Party on cleanup for the Mark Robinson campaign. He has been traveling all over North Carolina trying to gain votes for all of the people who have left him, pushing the nude Africa vote as high as he can in the governor's race in North Carolina. So, look, welcome back. I know it's hard work, man. I know. Shoveling shit ain't easy.
I was in the heart of Trump country last week, which is why we didn't have a show, unfortunately. I told you, Nanny, I went to a restaurant, and the restaurant that we were in had two large TVs on either side of the restaurant. And they were just showing Fox News. And at the time, Trump was just doing a rally. And they were just carrying that shit live. And it was one of the most uncomfortable experiences of my life that I can recall in recent
memory. Turn it off!
There's a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of people that were really enthralled watching it. I'm just like, oh, we're not in Kansas anymore, as they say. So
good grief. Man, no thanks. I'd be like, hey, could you guys turn it off before I smash my own head with a hammer, please? Or your TV, whichever one you want. Please turn this off. Yeah, there's a lot. So there's a couple stories that obviously, because we weren't here last week, we're going to kind of like buzz through. And then there's other stories we're going to dig into the stuff that's really this week. Okay. So you're up first. There's JD Vance.
Yeah. So it turns out that all this talk that is still somehow going on about Haitian immigrants eating dogs and cats, which is 100% not happening, is all bullshit. And not only do we know it's bullshit, we've known it's bullshit, but even the people talking about it absolutely 100% know that it's bullshit. As evidenced by JD Vance. I'm sure many people have seen the video by now. Not last Sunday, but the Sunday prior, he went on to the CNN Sunday morning show and basically told Dana Bash when confronted with his continued talking about the story, quote from JD Vance, "If I have to create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do."
And her response was, "Did you say create a story?" Dude, what? No, Dana. He got all indignant about it.
He got very indignant. Yes.
Yeah, look, even the mayor of Springfield has been like, "Can you please stop saying this? This is not true." You're getting more and more people.
Even the woman who spread the original claim has gone on record saying, "Yeah, it was bullshit.
Yeah,
it was all bullshit."
This far.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then why are you making up lies about your Haitian neighbors? I didn't mean for it to get this far. Well, how far did you mean it to go? That's not an excuse. That's a shitty thing to do, to say horrible things about people that are not true. We've never done that. JD Vance fucks couches. We've never done that. Okay. But in fairness, everyone is in on the joke. People really believe this about Haitians. That's the fucking problem, right?
Yes.
We don't have white supremacists going out with fucking let's get JD Vance based on some couch nonsense. The problem is this kind of lie gets people potentially killed. And
not only that, but Vance was told, or his staff was told, that this rumor was untrue before the debate happened. Mm-hmm. Where Trump, of course, amplified it out to everybody, which has, of course, been memed into oblivion, which is actually very funny.
Yeah.
Somehow it's both tragic for the Haitian population of Springfield and also incredibly hilarious. All the memes that are going around of it.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It boomeranged on them in a way that they could not have expected. I mean,
Right.
they should have expected it, but like they don't live on Earth 1, so they were just like completely oblivious to how normal people would take that. And yeah, people would just, I mean, it was the thing in that debate between Trump and Harris that destroyed him. Like it really did, besides her going, why don't you go to one of his little rallies, and he just fucking lost it, right?
Well, no, that happened directly. Like that was the thread that she pulled, and the cats and dogs was him completely unraveling, because it was in response to that comment.
They don't leave my rallies early, and let me just torch my cat. So like that whole idea is really fascinating, of like, we're going to throw this out there that's going to be a thing that's going to catch, and we're going to be able to play at this for weeks and months on end. And while it's still happening, and it's those terrible things are happening to people in Springfield, these bomb threats and all this other shit, and that is bad, right? Like, I'm not trying to downplay that, and I don't think you are either. It is absolutely decimating their campaign because it makes them look completely unserious. And everybody's like, eating cats and dogs. Okay, this guy is completely off his rocker. Where he's been saying a lot of wackadoodle shit, but unless you watch his rallies, you can easily blow it off and be like, well, he's being taken out of context. This is not being taken out of context. There is no context where this makes sense, right? So in a way, it was a perfect storm. Harris didn't destroy him. She just gave him just enough rope to destroy himself, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and Vance continues to be just a like we should have to claim him as like an in-kind campaign donation to us. Right. because this is the same fucking guy. Because like the other thing they've been pushing about the Haitian folks in Springfield is that they're here illegally, which they're not. Right. Haitians have protective status in this country, and exactly. Those people were allowed to move in there quite legally. And JD Vance admitted that he knows that they're legal, but he calls them illegal because he doesn't like the law that allowed them to,
which is definitely how the law works. Like,
right?
What are you talking? So yeah, it's a curious behavior, but I'm glad that it is completely and utterly backfired on them, and as it should, right? I'm just hoping that shit tamps down a little bit as far as like the rhetoric in Springfield and around Springfield, and people just move on to whatever the next dumb thing is, and so these people can get back to living their lives. But one thing that is, I think, an unexpected bit of damage that this is going to do is not in Springfield, but in fact in Florida, because there is 400,000 Haitian Americans that live in Florida. If you don't think that they've noticed you saying that dirty shit about their own people, you're mistaken. And Florida is very much a swing state. And by the way, new out today, Kamala Harris, within the margin of error, tied with Donald Trump. Trump is up by 1 point in Florida. Florida is not a red state. Florida is a swing state, and it has been for a long time. People just think it's red because everyone seems to, we always focus on the Florida man crazy right-wing nonsense that comes out of that state. But it's a swing state. It very much is. So
dude, if we could get Kamala Harris in the White House, and both Ted Cruz and Rick Scott out of the Senate, and like, that's amazing.
By the way, if Trump loses Florida, that's it, right? Nothing else matters at that point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's
done. That or Texas. I don't know. I don't think he's going to lose Texas, but
I don't think he's likely to lose Texas. But I think that is a real fight. It's going to be a fight. By the way, information out today, as of September 26th, Thursday, September 26th. They are sending national dollars. The DCCC is sending national dollars to Texas and Florida. They are
sure. I mean, especially with those two races specifically.
But the presidential campaign, like they're not just going, we'll just let it run. No, they're going after them. They should. They're close. I think.
Well, that you can also pick up 2 Senate seats potentially as well, which will help offset. John Tester is going to have a real uphill battle on his hands. Yeah, Sherrod Brown's going to have an uphill battle on his hands. Maryland has become somewhat of a battleground, even though also Brooks is like leading by 10 points, which I find dubious. But okay.
I don't think so. No, I don't think that's I don't think it's dubious at all. Here's the thing. Not to get into too much as far as like polling goes, because again, it's, I would argue, fairly unreliable. But not like, I don't think it's like crazy, right? we'll see within the next couple of weeks. I think things will start to really shape up and like, okay, this is kind of closer to what it's going to be. No, I don't think Maryland is that crazy. I think also Brooks is one. She's coming in at a good time. She's coming in to replace Ben Cardin, who is a liked candidate for the Democrats, with him retiring. And I think it's also, I think it's just a fucking off year for everyone, right? Like, if you were not a hardcore MAGA supporter, you're going to have a hard time. And if you were a hardcore MAGA supporter, you better hope you weren't that much of a hardcore MAGA supporter, because you're going to have a hard time. I mean, again,
I just worry about Harris Hogan voters, which is going to be a very funny phrase to a very specific subset of these podcast listeners for reasons that you don't understand.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I think Maryland is likely. I don't know if she'll win by 10, but I think she's going to walk away with it. I don't think it's going to be close at all. I don't think so at all. And guess what? If it was a different year, if they had a different person at the top of the ticket, if it was a different guy who's been sort of the leader of the party, I think Hogan would have a much better chance, if not like walk away with it. Mm-hmm. Not this time. No, I don't think so. All right, let's talk about Eric Adams. He is the mayor of New York City. He is a former police officer. He is a Democrat, and he got indicted today, which was wonderful. So, proving that Democrats do, in fact, police their own. Eric Adams has been indicted on corruption charges. Apparently, Homeboy was like, listen, since I'm mayor, why don't I and my partner go on some lavish trips to Turkey and India and Ghana and not declare none of that shit? Because the Turkish officials were paying for it. And then he had some people in his administration who was like, why don't you just write down that I declared it? Why don't you just say I did? Like, don't worry about it. So he had them like fake a paper trail over it to say like he did, give notice about these particular contributions, even though he did not. And then the Turkish officials that he had been like getting these lavish trips and lavish hotel stays through, they basically were like, all right, we did something for you. Now, here's the fucking margin call, my man. Turkey has a consular building being built in New York. This like 36-floor building. And they're like, we're going to need to let it slide about doing a fire inspection, because the building was not going to pass a fire inspection because apparently that would be very expensive for whatever reason. And the mayor was like, yeah, all right, don't worry about it. We're just not going to do it. It's like, dude, that's naked corruption. So, he's in a world of trouble. Of course, he's like, I expected this. We expected this. And I'm like, to that, I say, I agree with you. I also expected you to be.
And see, that's the thing. Like, I didn't think Eric Adams was corrupt, but like, I was also not at all floored by this news by any stretch of the imagination. He seems like a guy that could be, for sure.
So here's a funny thing about Eric Adams that I learned just today in researching the story. Apparently, when this asshole became mayor, he immediately tried to get his brother to be head of his security for $200,000 a year. And they were like, get the fuck out of here, yo. You're just trying to hook your brother up. And he was like, I was. But yeah, it's like, nah, like I'm just trying to hook my brother up with a nice fat almost a $250,000 job. And they were less like, nice try, dude. I don't think so. So yeah, this guy is very corrupt. But watch Democrats not defend this guy and wear hats that say, make New York great again or whatever, and defend him. Because Democrats will go, oh, is this guy doing corrupt shit? All right, get him the fuck out of here. Who cares?
I can't wait to see when Eric Adams leaves the Democratic Party and has a show on Fox News in 2 years. I would give it.
Yeah, I look, he's not to be a dick. I wouldn't listen to that guy talk for more than like 2 seconds if I had to. So probably just a contributor, if we're being honest. He did a video. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. It was like some reporter was asking him like, how would you describe the last, like this first year of your campaign or of your time as mayor, like in one word, how would you describe it? And he goes, New York. One. That's 2 words, Eric. And he says, New York is the greatest city on the planet. You can come to our city, and dude, I am paraphrasing, but this is basically what he said. New York is a place that you can come to and see anything, whether it's you can come and see a plane crash into one of our buildings or celebrate one of your friends opening a restaurant. Why did you use 9/11 as an example of what happened to New York?
What the fuck?
Dude, I will find it.
Shit.
It's an insane clip. Like, yo, what is wrong with you? Yo, he's crazy. But again, why did you put a former cop as your mayor? What did you think?
How did he win a Democratic primary again?
I don't know. I think it was like down to him and just like a straight up crazy Republican. It was.
Did Cynthia Nixon run for mayor or governor? I can't remember which she ran for.
Cynthia Nixon? I think she ran for governor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to find that clip, but like it's wild. What word would you describe it? New York. That's 2 words, Eric. Jesus Christ. And by the way, 9/11 happened here, and that was cool. Okay. Yeah, that guy. He should go to prison for that. For that clip alone.
I never thought that we'd ever see another New York mayor that would make us pine for the days of Bill de Blasio, but here we are.
Oof. Yeah, like wow. But yeah, like that guy was just like kind of bland and not very good at his job. He wasn't like a full-on corrupt piece of shit. So it's like I don't know, man. Maybe do a little bit more vetting. But, I don't know if you heard.
Oh shit! Never, I know what Eric Adams is going to do. He's going to have a radio show or a podcast with him and Rudy Giuliani, and it'll be like they'll call it like Mr. Mayors or something like that.
Ugh, yuck! just gross. By the way, did you hear the Giuliani story today? Did you
that he got disbarred in DC? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
1 down, 50 to go.
Oh no, we're down to like 7 down at this point. He's been disbarred all over the place. He already got disbarred in New York like last year. Yeah.
No, look, 1 and done, right? Just national Rudy ban and just be done with it. Like we don't need to go.
Well, you know how lawyers like lawyers kind of work. Like if you have a bar license in one state, some states are like, well, as long as you have a bar license here, like it's good. You're good to practice law here as well. I think the opposite should be true as well. Like if you get disbarred in certain areas, you'd be like, all right, well, you're disbarred everywhere. Then unfortunately,
yeah, no, so. I'm sorry. This shitty behavior transfers. This is the state to state. Good grief. All right, just one last story before we hit the break. Kamala Harris backs eliminating the filibuster to codify Roe v. Wade. Slow down. No,
I'm not going to slow down.
No, slow down because she just wants a carve out to do it.
Yeah, and no shit. That's all you're getting, Jay. Like you're not going to get someone that's
eliminate it
entirely.
Eliminate it. Bernie doesn't even want to eliminate it. Bernie doesn't.
Yeah. I know because they're afraid of what Republicans would do.
Who cares
if you gave them carte blanche? That's why they're afraid to do it.
Okay, so Bernie has said yes, he's okay with a carve out for Roe v. Wade for codifying Roe. Chuck Schumer has also signaled last month that he would consider eliminating the filibuster on votes aimed at protecting abortion rights if Democrats keep the majority. Look, I'm going to need you to use it for more than just that. Okay, like voting rights. Like if you're going to use it on the big boy ones, okay, it needs to be voting rights and it needs to be Roe and I would argue something to bring the fucking Supreme Court to heel, right? Some sort of.
Here's my best case scenario for this. Okay, here's my charitable view of the situation. You could do a carve out to eliminate Roe v. Wade because that's super important, right? And Republicans aren't going to vote for it. And you also could use that to be like, hey, so you see, we're serious. So if you guys don't come to the table in good faith to negotiate and vote on some of these other bills, maybe we might have to start looking for some other carve-outs that we can do as well. Maybe you use it as a cudgel to get Republicans back to the table instead of just like, oh, we don't like this, so we're just going to threaten to filibuster it and not even let you bring it to the floor.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. So here's why I think that's a decent idea, but I think it's ultimately fruitless. Joe Manchin, of course, is like Joe Manchin, the lion of the Senate, right? He says, where's Manchin's quote? Because it's
I see it.
Like Manchin's quote is amazing. He says that it is the holy grail of democracy. She knows that the filibuster is the holy grail of democracy. Bitch, it hasn't even been around since the beginning of the republic. Sure. What are you talking about?
Sure hasn't.
It's like in the last, like, what was it, last like 20 years or some shit, right? Or maybe
longer than that, but not that long. Or at least it wasn't really used in the way that it's used now.
Right. Like in the last like 10 years, 10 to 15 years, it's been used more than it's ever been used. I think it
they don't even have to do it. The joke at this point is that all they have to do is threaten to do it, and it kills bills being brought to the floor because Democrats don't want to go through the process. See, that's the thing with the filibusters. You don't like. I also am an advocate of just getting rid of it because it's horseshit. But at the very least, you can reform it and make it a real filibuster again. Like, there's ways you can reform, like change the rules of the filibuster to make it so that if the other side wants to do it, they can do it, but it's gonna be painful to do it.
Yeah,
and so they only do it when they're really adamant about something, not getting to a vote, essentially.
Yeah. So, by the way, to our point, the two-track system, the 60-vote rule, and the rise of the routine filibuster, that started really in 1970. Okay, so it quite literally 50 years, or more or less. So it's been around before that, but it was very rarely used. You had to. It was super painful to do, right? Like, oh, you got to fucking stand up and do all this.
You literally had to hold the floor for 24 hours, and that's still how it works, by the way. But again, because it's such just a flagrant tool at this point, you don't even have to do it, but you just have to be like, hey, we're going to filibuster this. And people are like, oh, fuck, what are we going to do?
Yeah, no, look, if you're going to leave it, a couple things here. If you're going to leave it, then you need to make it that you have to hold the floor for that like 24 hours or whatever. And it's a limited time, right? You have to hold the floor. You have to be speaking. Someone has to be speaking. And you can't talk about bullshit. You have to talk about the fucking bill that you're doing. Look, Ted Cruz wants to filibuster. Go right ahead, Ted. Now stand your fucking clown ass up and talk about abortion for 24 hours. We'll be right here, bro.
And you also make it so that the filibustering party has to hold like a quorum the entire time. So like
absolutely nobody goes home.
Like you have to have at least 80% of your members in attendance, or 2/3, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, the whole time. But
here's the thing. Make it a high number. Don't make it a low number. We're going to have 7 people. Fuck that. You need to have 80%, 80% of your people here in order to do it. Those motherfuckers hate when they have to work 5 days in a row. You think, but I want to go home to my family and get my bribes in my mailbox at my local, VFW. Cool, whatever, bro. Sit your ass down. You think this is important? Have a seat. So if you're going to
all DoorDash is barred from the Capitol building.
No, motherfucker. No. Ted Cruz is like, I've got 100 cans of soup. I'm good. I'm ready. So I think if you're going to do the carve out and you're going to keep the filibuster around, make it hard. Make it difficult. I don't understand why you don't. Right? So, Joe Manchin's like, this is the backbone of democracy or whatever horse shit. Like that's 1,000% not true. But if you're and he's like, well, if in Kyrsten Sinema's like, well, if you eliminated for Roe v. Wade, then that just gives Republicans the opportunity. If they get back power, they'll do a national abortion ban, and that's such a stupid way of doing it. Hey, right? Look, here's the thing.
For it.
Here's the thing, and it's not that we're playing, playing lightly with people's lives, right? Because there is an increase of death and stuff like that that's going on in Texas. It's a very serious thing. But here's the thing. If you think really politically after all the shit that these motherfuckers have gone through, the shitstorm that is coming for them in this election, let alone all of the shitstorms that have happened in every special election and all this other stuff, the midterm where they thought, oh, here comes a red wave, and they got fucking destroyed over it, right? If you think those motherfuckers are going to take an opportunity and go, hey, we got 51 votes. Why don't we do the national abortion ban? Hey, just like you're making the argument that they can do it, you know what Democrats can do after they blow their ass out again? Put it back. Like, it is just going to be a back and forth. And you know why they're not going to do it? Because it's going to not be worth it. They're going to just go, well,
it's the law of the land. Same thing they said about Obama when they failed to repeal that.
Exactly. Dude, they want the look, the one thing that Republicans miss is using abortion to drive votes. They would love to have it back. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some Republican politicians like, I'm voting for Harris, put it back so we can try to fucking win some elections. Because it was their juice. Anytime they needed to get Republicans fucking pissed off, they'd go, hey, don't forget, you guys, if you look over there, they're having tons of abortions. And Republicans go, I'm fucking mad. And then they rush to the fucking polls. Now they don't have that, right? Because they've been making this stupid fucking argument, which makes no sense, that Trump sent it back to the states. Now everyone's happy. And meanwhile, other Republicans are like, that doesn't make any sense to our argument, right? Because, like, quite literally, they are arguing that, which is like a weird pro-choice argument. It just doesn't.
You heard what?
Doesn't make sense.
You heard Trump go on and on about how he's going to be like the defender of women and like,
dude,
that's like women, you won't have to worry anymore.
That tweet he sent about women,
yeah,
where he's like,
well, he also said it. He said it at a rally. To basically the same sentiment, essentially.
It's it. It was just insane. Like,
Lawrence O'Donnell makes a great point about this, and he talked about this after the debate, and he talks about how the abortion message that Trump continues to spout, that like, oh, it's so great that it's back with the states, is one of the most damaging things that he says. And it doesn't sound damaging to people like you and me because we're not fucking women, we aren't women in this country. I don't want to say we aren't fucking women in this country because,
hey, I'm married. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm about to say, but
I'm fine.
It's damaging to him because he's lying to the voters about the voters. Like, he's saying like, oh, everyone wanted this. Oh, it's so great. This is what everyone wanted. And everyone's like, well, I didn't want it. and I don't know anyone else that wanted it. What the fuck is he talking about?
I mean, ironically, he's not just lying to supporters who are like on the Democratic side, right? Just like lying about them. But he's also lying to his own people. Because what you're saying, the people who want abortion back at the states only want it back at the states as a stopgap to a national abortion ban. If you believe that people who are ardently pro-life are cool with abortions happening in different municipalities, you're out of your mind. That doesn't make any sense. I've seen Republicans.
I present to you the history of Christianity.
Right. Oh, are they just doing something different over there? It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're just going to worry about our little thing. That's not true. Get the fuck crusade. Like, come on, man. Like, get out of here. So, like, this idea, like, and I made a video about this. Like, Republicans do this very weird thing of arguing both sides of an argument. Like, they get trapped on one and they're like, fuck, I can't get out of it. So they just go to the other side. We're really pro-life and protect babies at all costs, blah, 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 blah. And now they're like, abortions are back at the states. Everyone can do what they want. I'm like, that's a pro-choice stance. What the fuck are we talking about? It doesn't make sense because they don't really believe that. And so what he is telling them is it's a wink and a nod. But like, you're also trying to convince people who know that you're full of shit to be like, well, they all wanted this. Then why are people coming out in droves against you? If everyone should be dancing in the streets like the fucking Who's in Whoville. What are you fucking talking about? People are pissed. So good.
People are dying. Literally, there was a woman in Georgia who died from complications from a pregnancy that she couldn't abort because it was
one happened in Texas. There's I think it was ProPublica had a story. Like, there is a rise of deaths of these pregnant women because of this, right? Mm-hmm. Listen, this idea that if you kill the filibuster, Republicans are going to do a national abortion ban. If they try, they're going to get fucking destroyed over it, dude. Mm-hmm. They're not. And trust me, you can tell that they do not have the real desire to do this. They thought they wanted it when they got an opportunity to kill Roe. And they were like, hell yeah, this is fucking awesome. And then when they did it, they did not realize the level of fucking massive backlash. How they didn't see it, I do not know. But they did, because they don't live on fucking Earth 1, I guess. And when they saw that, the last thing they want is to triple down on it. They do not want it. I'm telling you, I guarantee you, there are many people inside the Republican Party, and I don't mean voters. I mean people who have power to change shit in law would love to put it back, because they do not want this shit hanging on. They will lose election after election until this is fixed. I can guarantee you. Once it's fixed, you'll see apathy rise on the Democratic side. You will. You just will. Like, just because it won't be at a fever's pitch for them. But until then, motherfucker, you're never going to get women to forget this. You're never going to get them to forget it. And by the way, the optics of the first woman president kicking you in the fucking teeth and putting this shit back, oh, that's going to look good. That's going to look and feel real good. So, yeah, I don't think there is a threat. You could try if you want.
It could very well be the first thing that she does. Like 100%. Literally first week in office. Draft this legislation. I mean, they probably already have the legislation.
Oh, 100%.
Or at least the outlines of it, right? Get it on the floor, pass it, throw it out the filibuster, get it passed in the Senate, sign it, boom. History made.
Dude, if she codifies Roe if she does it in the first 100 days, that would be impressive. She does it in the first week. She does it as her first thing. Oh my God. She's gonna set the political world on fire. That's her first move. And look, it's smart. You got to take the Tim Walz approach. Your job is not to hold your fucking political capital. It is to get that political capital and spend that shit immediately, because that's how you get reelected. And if she can go in 4 years, be like, what have you done? Bitch, do you remember the first thing I did? You're welcome. Like, we got that shit done. And you do that and you get a victory, and you see how Democrats are like, fuck yeah, let's go. Next one. And you just start fucking hammering it down. Look, you figure out your top 3 things you want to do carve-outs for, and then you start to fucking negotiate. That's my attitude. You know, like, fuck all that. Like, man, what do you want to do? Fuck them. They wanted to destroy the country with this Project 2025 shit. Do not play fucking softball with these guys. You take a baseball bat and you go fucking hard as shit at these guys. Oh, we're upset. Be upset. Who gives a fuck? Keep going. Yeah, just keep going. Who cares? You got a job to do. Right? Like, you want to win to keep a Senate and keep Congress in 2 years? You got work to do. Day one, hit the ground running. No fucking bullshitting. Fuck that. So, look, I like that Sanders and more importantly, Schumer is like, hey, I'm cool with the carve-out. Great. That's fine. I think you should just fucking tear that wall down and dare them to
Gotta win the Senate first, though, is the thing. So
yeah, you do. Look, let me just read something before we move on. I guess I should yell. It's in all capital letters. I'm not going to yell, but I'm going to read Trump.
Is this a breaking truth?
No, this is what Trump wrote about women for people who don't know this. This is in all capital letters. I assume it's at 3 a.m, and he's like shit tweeting, right? Women are poorer than they were 4 years ago, are less healthy than they were 4 years ago, are less safe on the streets than they were 4 years ago, are more depressed and unhappy than they were 4 years ago, and are less optimistic and confident in the future than they were 4 years ago. I will fix all of that, and fast. And at long last, this national nightmare will be over. Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free, and with really big boobs. You will no longer be thinking about abortion. Don't worry your pretty little heads. Because it is now where it always has to be, with the states and the vote of the people, and with powerful exceptions like those that Ronald Reagan insisted on for rape, incest, and the life of the mother, but not allowing for Democrat demanded late-term abortions in the 7th, 8th, and 9th month, or even execution of the baby after birth. I will protect. And that's when he rides out to Gastown in the middle of his Mad Max rant. Yeah, that's insane. That's an insane thing to fucking tweet out.
I mean, he's an insane person, so
That is correct.
Yeah.
I will protect executing a baby after birth. That's just murder, you dummy.
That's correct.
Shut up.
I really appreciate how interviewers are finally like pushing back on that horse shit when he says that now. And
bro, just give me one example. I'm like, just give me one example. Name the person. Surely there is one person that you can name. Look, I will issue out a challenge. If you can find one example of this happening where they just were like, let's kill the baby after this baby is born, not that they, someone had a child that was soon going to die because of complications, but they were just like, let's fucking murder this baby. I will cash app you $50. I will cash app you $50 if you can find me a case, documented case in a real newspaper, not zerohedge.com, in a real article. I will give you $50. Get the fuck out of here. Shout out to Zero Hedge. Is that still around? Still a website.
Well, I mean, we're not going to have InfoWars to pick on anymore. So
yeah, they're selling that shit off at auction. We should buy it. We should buy it. I bet we get it like $50. And just start our own. Just start InfoWars slash.
Make the InfoWars a progressive brand.
Left. Dude. I think Mark Maron should buy it, or like, what's the guy from the Minority Report? Sam Cedars. Sam Cedars InfoWars. Like, fuck yeah, just pick the most liberal person ever. All right, let's talk about the debate. Harris says. Go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, two quick stories, and it's kind of shocking that the second of these is a quick story, but a lot's happened. So, of course, after the debate that they had a couple weeks ago, Kamala Harris immediately challenged Donald Trump again. Donald Trump tried to play it off by saying, "Oh, of course she would," because she got her ass kicked. Not actually what happened at all, but that's okay. And so basically, she accepted a invitation from CNN to debate him on October 23rd, I want to say it is, which is a couple weeks before the election. And Trump punted, and he said, no, we're not going to do that because it's too late. Early voting is already happening. Ballots are already being cast, and so it's too late, and that doesn't make sense to do it.
Right.
I will let people know that the final Trump-Biden debate in 2020 happened on October 22nd. So, yeah,
there's no precedent.
So he thinks, me thinks that Donald Trump is just running scared, which is obviously what's happening because he does not want to get that ass whooping on TV a second time.
Yeah, look, I don't think they're going to have a second debate, but if they did, you will know soon after that October 10th debate. Because
100%.
Because if and when Tim Walz, and I think it is more when, not if, mops the motherfucking floor with JD Vance, and the polling in that week after, and the polling is like, oh, it's not looking good. It's actually gone down for Trump. People are like, oh, this JD Vance guy is even worse than I've heard. Because I still don't think a lot of people know him very well. And a lot of people don't know Tim Walz very well. And they're going to be like, oh, I kind of like that guy. Like, that guy seems all right.
He seems normal.
Yeah, he seems
all right.
Yeah, he seems like a normal guy.
They're gonna look at JD Vance. They're like, "What a fucking weirdo."
Yeah, is that guy with a dog that they gave him on the?
I'm gonna say you saw the Tucker Carlson clip, right? Where like he was like,
they gave me the dog.
Was he kidding? Like, was he trying to make a joke?
I don't know. I thought it was AI. I thought someone AI'd him saying something different. Like, I didn't believe it. Like the first 10 times I was like, that's not, because like the video was kind of grainy. The one I saw, I'm like, that's not real. He wouldn't say that. That's insane. And then I saw it like on like CNN. I was like, he really said it? Holy shit. What are you doing? I don't know if he's kidding. I don't think he's kidding. I think he's serious.
Either way, it's kind of weird.
It's super
to just fucking try to dog out while you're sitting down with America's greatest white supremacist. And it's just like, oh, they gave me this dog to make me seem more likable.
It's like,
and Tucker Carlson said, "Oh, that's so weird." And he was doing it jokingly, but I'm like, no, that is weird. Like if that's true, that's super weird.
Weird. That's super fucking weird. Like, you could just you don't have to have a dog. Like, it's cool. There are plenty of it doesn't have to be a thing. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Trump hates animals. like it's fine. Like that's your whole thing, right? Dogs are very perceptive. So I think if they're going to have a second debate and the polling doesn't look good coming out of that VP debate, Trump's gonna be like, all right, I guess I'll destroy Kamala one more time because he needs something. He's gonna need some juice going into that election.
Have you seen JD Vance's favor rules?
Dude, it's like
it's atrocious.
Yeah, they're both awful. Underwater, but I isn't like JD Vance like negative 30% or something, or like a negative.
Oh, Tim Walz is not underwater. Tim Walz.
No. I'm saying Trump and Vance are underwater.
Oh yeah, Trump and Vance are both underwater, but JD Vance, like to your point, JD Vance is underwater like significantly.
Yeah, no, it's like he's like the worst rated VP choice like ever. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think Walz is like as positive as like +3, which is weird to me.
+7. I saw.
Oh, +7 now.
He's literally the most popular thing in this presidential race. Tim Walz.
Yeah, no, I can believe it, but like +7 seems low. What has he done to not like him? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's more to your point that people just don't know him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I think there's a lot of can't form an opinion yet kind of answers.
Yeah,
in those polls. So
I think and Pete Buttigieg is playing JD Vance in debate prep for Walz. That's good, right? Not because they're similar necessarily, but because Buttigieg is really deliberate and a really smart guy. He's going to know exactly how that guy forms his arguments and everything else. He's going to study the shit out of him and be able to work with Walz in a really good way. And Walz is ready for this shit because Walz is a real like Midwesterner fucking regular dude. JD Vance is playing one on TV. And that is going to come through in the worst ways for JD Vance. And in the worst ways for Republicans, he's going to seem disingenuous. And Walz is going to be like, "Oh, this guy's a regular fucking real dude." And that's Walz's entire thing. Is I'm a regular guy. This guy is bullshit. And that's going to work like a charm. So yeah, I would say if it's going to happen, it's going to come after the polling comes out after that VP debate. And Trump is going to be like, "All right, please, I need a debate." And look, the second he does it, like, I'll do it. Harris should be like, "Nah, I'm good." Like, just the fucking like, don't even worry about it. I'm busy that day. I got a rally, dog.
I don't think she could. Like, she doesn't have the perception of like running scared. But you know, I can't. It's after watching that first debate, it is difficult to imagine a scenario in which she's not going to come out looking spectacular after debating him yet again. So
yeah, look, she knows how to pull at him. She knows how to pull at his strings, and he's not disciplined enough to ignore it. Even though knowing what happened in the first one, he's just
he's unraveling left and right. Like he's promising tax cuts to like everybody right now.
Bro, he said that migrants have machine guns the military can't match. What are you talking about? Like, what are you saying? So yeah, no, all she has to do is just be like, "You just said this, and you just said this, and you just said this, and you just said," like, what the fuck is going on over there? So no, I think a second debate would be disastrous for him. I look forward to it if it happens.
Yeah. The other story that happened, and I can't believe this happened a week and a half ago because it feels like it happened literally when the last one happened, is Trump kind of sort of had another assassination attempt against him ish. Like in the neighborhood of an assassination attempt. There was a dude in Mar-a-Lago hiding in the bushes with a rifle pointed at him. The Secret Service spotted him.
Like an AK-47.
With an AK-47. Secret Service spotted him, fired shots. That's where the shots fired came from. And they caught the guy. And turns out, yet another right-wing fucking, or at least, I don't know right-wing, but like yet another Republican-leaning lunatic. Yep. Guy who was a Trump voter in 2016, voted for Biden in 2020, and then made a impassioned plea on Twitter for Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley to run together to defeat Trump on the Republican ticket. From an earlier look at things, it looks like the dude was really passionate about what's going on in Ukraine right now, and obviously didn't trust Trump to not just slide right in bed with the Russians, which Trump himself is basically out here talking about, as the UN General Assembly is going on right now, talking about how like Ukraine should just give Russia whatever it wants. Like, it's real bad. Like, so much bad stuff has happened, and if you don't give them what they want, some more bad things are going to happen. Is basically his response to that war.
I don't know if you're following sort of the active sort of like boots on the ground type shit that's going on with Ukraine and Russia. But I saw a video. Shout out to Chris, who is a listener to the show. He sent me a video. They're attaching thermite because the Ukrainians are pushing into Russia. They're attaching thermite to drones and setting them up so that the drones catch on fire, and they're crashing them into the Russian forest where they identify the Russian soldiers are, and lights their entire camp on fire, killing the Russians. And then once they know where they are because of this massive forest fire, they just start fucking attacking the shit out of it to kill them. That's kind of brilliant. I have to say, it's fucking.
I was about to say, you would think that. I mean, not that the Ukrainians are quite as technologically bereft as like the Viet Cong were when we were fighting them, but you would think that, you know, you could see the shit that was happening to U.S. soldiers in Vietnam and be like, man, maybe we shouldn't like push back on forces that have nothing to lose and are willing to resort to guerrilla tactics to really fucking with our shit.
Yeah, the only difference here is that the Viet Cong are now inside the United States doing this. I mean, the Ukrainians are pushing into Russia. Dude, the thermite laden drones is one of the most terrifying fucking things I've ever heard. And if you don't, by the way, if you don't know what thermite is, it's basically like a powder that basically just lights on fire. And it's really hard to put out. Like once you light thermite, like it just burns like fucking crazy. And again, you're dropping this thermite into a forest, so it's got plenty of tinder. So it's brilliant. Like that's how they're like, oh, the Russians are right there. Oh, cool. Fucking turn the thermite on. Let's fucking go. Like that's fucking insane. But these guys aren't playing around, man. Like they're like, oh, you're coming in our country. Fucking shut up. Guess what? We're coming to you. So look. As far as the assassination attempt goes, look, I take it as serious as he takes it, which is not very serious.
Otherwise you wouldn't be fucking golfing like all the time, where it's notoriously very difficult to protect you.
What is the name of that? You're a pretty avid reader. What is the name of that, or The Dead Zone, the Stephen King book?
Yeah.
We had a bit of a dead zone fucking moment, right? Like if you don't know that story, it's really fucking weird and fucked up. But the idea of the movie and the book,
it's aliens at the end, by the way. It always is with Stephen King. So
ridiculous. But the idea of Dead Zone is this guy could see the future, right? And it's played by Christopher Walken, I believe, in the original movie. And he could see the future.
There's also a USA show.
Yes, there was.
Anthony Michael Hall.
Yes, it was. Yeah, that's where I originally saw it, right? But he could see the future, and he eventually, like, kind of like Limitless, like he kind of uses his like future knowledge to kind of rise up, and he eventually becomes like this big time politician. I forget what he's running for, and he's going to give this speech, and he sees the future of someone trying to shoot him, right, trying to assassinate him, and in the moment where he thinks that he's about to be assassinated, that he's seen this future, he grabs a kid and holds the kid up in front of him as a human shield, and thus destroying his entire fucking life, right? Because we were like, you just try to use a kid as a human shield, you're a fucking garbage person. And so his entire life crumbles. Trump brought a kid up on fucking stage during a speech. You have people shooting guns at you. And he's like, oh, there's a kid. Like, there's a kid. Like, holy shit. Who's letting their kid up there? Who's like, you guys are in a fucking call. Can I bring your kid up on stage? Fuck no. Fuck no, dude. Are you good? But it's bulletproof glass. Motherfucker, I don't care if you're encased in titanium. No, I'm not letting my kid anywhere near you. But I just thought that was like such a bizarro moment of like, you're literally holding a kid up when you've had 2 assassination attempts. Like, yeah.
And again, like, should anyone be trying to shoot a presidential candidate? Absolutely not. Like, no, there's no fucking excuse for that at all. But it's hard for me to care about him specifically when he and his ilk want to do nothing to fix the problem that is exacerbating this happening to him, number one. And number two, don't bitch at us that people are trying to go after you when you're the one spewing out the violent rhetoric.
Yeah, and also, look, third reason, you don't give a shit when kids get killed.
Mm-hmm.
JD Vance just said that, it's like a fact of life or something like that, that these school shootings happen. All right, well, I guess it's just a fact of life that people are going to try to shoot you. Like, again, I don't want you to get shot. I want you to be voted out, and I want you to die in prison. I don't need you to get shot. Just die in prison. Like, that's fine. But I'm not going to have any level of sympathy for you because you don't have sympathy for when kids get killed. And they're the most innocent people in society. And you just don't give a shit. And look, I feel the same way about Steve Scalise when he got his hip blown the fuck off. He just doubled down on no, we don't need gun control. Look, again, when they killed 20 white little kids at Sandy Hook, it was fucking over. It was over. Mm-hmm. If conservatives didn't care about white little kids, kindergarten kids being killed because of guns, they're damn sure not going to care about anybody else. So, good. Keep the system corrupt, bro. See what happens to you. And apparently, you keep fucking around, you might find out. So, I can't muster any level of oh no, I just can't. And it's so funny because you can say whatever you want about the state of America and everything else, but one of the most telltale signs that guy's power is waning is that really nobody gave a shit. Mm-hmm. Nobody.
It became a non-story in literally days.
Yeah.
Even his side wasn't trying to.
Right.
Even outside of the first couple of days, they weren't even trying to make a big deal about it.
They don't care. Nobody really cares. And if you live your life to the point where people are trying to kill you and nobody seems to give a shit, you failed. You failed at life. You quite literally failed at life. He just came out this week and was like, they only try to kill consequential presidents. I'm like, I don't think that's really true, but okay.
I mean, he certainly is consequential in his way.
Look,
I mean, how many hundreds of thousands of people are dead from the coronavirus thanks to, their slow response.
Yeah, I mean,
look, let's also get fucking serious here. Look at the list of presidents who were assassinated. You got Lincoln on there, JFK, of course. And there's also William McKinley. Name one thing that William McKinley did, Mr. They only kill people of consequence.
Right. Wasn't he, how long was he in office? 19 minutes?
No, you're thinking of Harrison. But William McKinley was in there for a couple of years.
Right. Yeah, but he did nothing. He did nothing of substance. Nothing.
Yep.
So I wish I could care, but then again, I'm lying. I don't wish I could care. I simply just don't. I don't. And again, I'm not hoping that something horrible happens to you. I just don't give a shit if it does. Sorry. You signed a law to allow mentally ill people to have easier access to guns. Now, this guy got his gun in an illegal manner. We know that, and that's fine. But you still did that. You still thought that made sense. I have concepts of caring, but that's it. I don't. Again, I don't wish that harm upon you. If I had my druthers, you would lose this election. You would be massively prosecuted for all of your crimes, and you would go to jail, and you would spend the next whatever amount of years or months eating all the fucking McDonald's hamburgers you want. I really don't care. I'm willing.
Yeah, believe me, this show takes a very strong, we would love to see you suffer stance. 100%.
Yeah, die in prison. I want weekly updates of how he looks after he can't get that tan, right? He's all ghost white. That fucking hair isn't taken care of. Nah, man. Like that man unit, they take the fucking magnets off or whatever the hell's keeping it on. And yeah, we get to see the real him. That's what I want. So I don't need you to get shot. I need you to go to jail. I need you to be prosecuted. As someone, as I heard someone say recently, I don't want peace. I want justice. Like, that's what I want. So yeah, I'll take that. All right. On to Missouri. So Marcellus Williams was recently executed. Black man in Missouri. He was on death row for quite a long time. I want to say he's been on death row for like the last 20 years. And he was charged with killing this woman, Felicia Gale, back in 1998. And there's a lot with this case that is like really weird, and we'll talk about it. And then I want to talk about why everyone should be super, super fucking pissed about it. And it's not just the details of the case, though that should be enough. It's not. So are you familiar with this case at all, Brad?
I'm familiar enough to know that the prosecutor in St. Louis was actually looking to vacate the conviction because, according to their office, there's nothing the evidence that they have suggests that he is actually innocent, which he's been claiming since he was, charged with the crime.
Right. So just a bit of background. This woman, Gale, Felicia Gale, was found stabbed 43 times with a butcher's knife, which is pretty fucking brutal and awful. And apparently Marcellus Williams allegedly gave a in-prison confession to his cellmate that he did this, right? According to that person. And that guy's girlfriend also said that. And they apparently, when he was out of jail, they found this woman's stolen laptop and some of her items in his car. Which, by the way, just because someone steals something doesn't equal murder, right? Oh shit, break into somebody's car.
Notably, there was no, if I recall reading the facts of the case correctly, there was no DNA evidence.
There is none
introduced at all.
Right. Footprints, fingerprints, blood, none of that. None of that matches him, right? He has maintained his innocence the entire time. And so what's fucking weird is her family came out and was like, this guy should not get the death penalty, right? We don't agree with that. The other point here is because he was doing 20 years for robbing a donut shop. That's where he apparently, when he was in jail, he had made this confession about this whole thing. The deposition from his cellmate did not it only matched up with public reporting, and then the details from his girlfriend, they were saying that was some extra stuff that wasn't in the case, and the Innocence Project was that's not true. All of this stuff that said was just publicly reported shit. You didn't say anything that was some sort of secret information, right? Then prosecutors described the physical evidence at the crime scene itself as inconclusive. A shoe print, fingerprints, and hair found at the scene did not match Marcellus Williams. A knife found at the scene had traces of DNA, but due to the killer wearing gloves, it only matched those of the prosecution team members who handled it without gloves in the case. 2 members of the prosecution handled the fucking murder weapon with no gloves on. But Marcellus Williams' fingerprints and DNA, not on the knife at all. So, seems a little strange. A search of Williams' car did turn up a St. Louis Post-Dispatch ruler and calculator that belonged to Gale. A laptop stolen from Gale was also recovered from a man who testified that Williams had sold the victim's laptop to him. Again, stealing things does not equate to murder, right? So, what the circumstances of stealing those things were, I have no idea. I don't know if he's ever said, hey, I didn't take those things, I didn't sell the laptop. I don't know. But again, it seems like a bit of a leap, right? And I can understand the thought process, right? Like, oh, this guy's got the stuff. It must be him. I understand the thought process. But without all the DNA evidence and everything else, that kind of falls apart. So back in 2017, even the prosecutor was like, look, I think this guy is actually innocent. And so I'm asking you to please like drop this case, dismiss it. In 2023, and this is where things get really fucked up, or just before 2023, in June of 2018, they decided to create a board that consisted the Eastern District of Missouri decided to create this board. The board was headed by a former federal judge of the Eastern District of Missouri and consisted of 5 retired federal judges to review the case. It subpoenaed both prosecution and the defense. The board was also to meet with the state and defense attorneys in June of 2018. When the governor, Greitens, retired at that time, he had already given a like, hey, let's put a hold on this case. Let's not execute this guy, right? Like this is fucked up. When that guy retired as governor in June of 2018, the DNA evidence and new analysis did not match that of Williams. Again, it was mishandled by the prosecution. The board had hearings in August of 2018. Governor Mike Parsons, who is the governor now, was to receive the board's conclusion and make a decision. So he was supposed to receive this conclusion of these 6 retired federal judges. Like, we looked at the case. All right, this is like really complicated. Here is what we think is going on. In June of 2023, Parsons decided to dissolve the panel of 5 judges without receiving their report and lifted the stay on Williams' execution. And he claimed it was at the time for the court to make a decision, even without having fucking information, right? Later, State Attorney General Andrew Bailey asked the state Supreme Court to set a date for Williams' execution. That's when the Innocent Project got involved, yada, yada, yada. They did a motion to vacate in 2024. The prosecution basically came back and said, listen, we will give this guy, we are offering a plea deal for this guy that if he pleads to this, we know that he's fucking innocent. If he pleads to this, we will just go after life in prison without parole, but we will not do the death penalty. Like, they literally said, we are only doing this so he doesn't get killed, right? Mm-hmm. So the Innocent Project and everybody else can keep working on shit, but we're going to do the plea deal. Marcellus Williams agreed to the fucking plea deal. Was like, fine, good, sure, whatever, just don't fucking kill me. The governor steps in and goes, no thanks, fuck that, you can't do that. So then, from there's all this begging like, hey man, there's no evidence. But because the original case was not basically predicated on the lack of DNA evidence, and Missouri apparently has notoriously just ignored DNA evidence. I don't know how that's fucking acceptable, but okay. Because it's not predicated on the DNA evidence, and it was just predicated on these testimonies that, again, were kind of like, who knows if they were true? They're just like, it's not enough to get him out. Like, okay, that's fucking insane. So they execute him. There's a final plea deal. Again, everybody is like, don't do this, don't do this. Mike Parsons, the governor, is like, fuck it. Now, take a guess. Marcellus Williams is black. Take a guess what color the victim is. If you had to guess.
Oh, I don't have to.
Right.
With that kind of lead up.
Exactly. So I think this is just retribution. This white woman was killed, and somebody's got to pay retribution for this. I don't give a shit if it's this guy. Close to fucking enough. Now, that to me is horrible all on its own. But here's why it gets even worse. Now, you could say, well, Mike Parsons, the governor, this guy is fucking no nonsense. He's just, it is what it is. Except for the Missouri governor is granting pardons at a pace not seen since World War II era. This guy, and this is a story written in November of 2023, dude pardoned like a crazy amount of people. It's something like He had a backlog of like Parsons inherited nearly 3,700 clemency applications when he suddenly elevated from lieutenant governor to the governor. So far, Parsons again, this is in 2023. So far, Parsons has denied about 2,400 clemency requests while granting 613 pardons and 20 commutations. That's the most since Republican Governor Forrest Donald granted almost 1,700 in 1941. This guy is pardoning all kinds of people. He pardoned pastors who like beat people within an inch of their lives, all sorts of shit. But this guy, he could not find any reason to maybe go, let's just slow down a second. Stop telling black people that they like that we're crazy. This has no DNA evidence. And this guy's like, fuck it. Somebody got to pay for
it. And by the way, there's so like people are, might speculate like, oh, what if there's like, what if he's running for re-election? There could be a political reason. He's termed out apparently. Like he's
Who
like,
gives a fuck?
Like,
I don't care if he was.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if he was. I don't give a fuck if you're running for U.S. president. I'm not even saying you got to be like, the guy's innocent. Yeah, let him out. Let's fucking party. Dude, slow down and just go, all right, it's been 20 years. There's a lot of back and forth. Why did you dissolve that fucking board? Why did you dissolve that board? That's my biggest question. Why did you do that? It's just time to get an answer. This man's life is in your hands. You can't wait. I could wait 6 months.
You can't undo that once you do it is the thing. And that is the funny the thing about it is that my feelings on the death penalty are complicated. Like I'm not inherently opposed to having a death penalty because I certainly think there are crimes that can be committed that are so heinous that people just don't need to be breathing the same as us any longer. Like we don't need to dedicate resources to keep them alive. But I don't think that anywhere in this country or really anywhere in the world right now is in such a state where a death penalty statute can be enforced correctly because like Marcellus Williams' case is not unique. It's not novel. Like there are tons and tons of people, typically black men, who have been executed since the death, especially in the wake of DNA evidence, who after they have been killed have been, evidence has come out to find them innocent.
Yeah.
Things have come out where it said, this person actually maybe didn't do this, or we can't say beyond a reasonable doubt, especially with the introduction of DNA evidence, which again, people, because people of our generation, it's been something that's been in our lives forever. You gotta remember, DNA evidence is a relatively new concept. Like really only since the late 80s, early 90s did DNA evidence come into vogue, and it was popularized because of the OJ case. And then that's where that, came to work out the biggest spotlight. But you can't have the point of a death penalty statute is to commute the ultimate sentence on somebody who, committed a crime so heinous that they don't deserve to live anymore. If you're going to do that, which is something that can't be undone, you have to be 1,000% sure. There has to be, if there's even the space for doubt to exist, then you can't do it. Like that has to be that has to be the method. If there's even an inch of room, barring, eyewitness testimony, DNA evidence at the scene, a confession, like any kind of shit like that, then you cannot do that, because if evidence is found later on, because there are people that are going to continue looking at this case.
Yep.
If something is found later on that proves him, beyond a shadow of a doubt that he is innocent, you just killed a man for nothing. Like it would have been bad enough if he had spent 30 years in prison for a crime that he didn't commit. But at least he would have been alive. At least he could still have a life outside of that once it was found out that, his sentence should be thrown away. But he's dead now. You can't unring that bell. You can't get him back now. And so if you better pray that that there's nothing out there that shows, 100% that he didn't do this, because that's going to be on your head if you're Mike Parsons, and it's going to hang like a shadow over the rest of your career if there is a political career for you to have after you're the governor of Missouri.
Right. Yeah, when I read that he's like big on clemency and big on pardons, I'm like, are you? For who? For who? Look, man, I don't pretend to be like even-handed about certain things. I just can't be, especially when it comes to shit like this. And so I'll just say it. I think Mike Parsons is a fucking piece of shit racist. I do. Sorry, I do. I'm not sorry. What the fuck am I saying? You dissolved a board that was going to give you an answer. These are people who are respected, intelligent fucking people. And you didn't. Why? That's my question to him. That's the question I'd like to hold him over a fucking railing in a high-rise building and ask him. Why did you do that? Oh, I just thought it was just time to move on. Bro, we're not talking about like whether or not you get a couple of points at fucking bingo or some shit. It's somebody's life. And it happens all too often. And it's almost always people who look like me. And that's just the reality of it. And I think, if I'm being honest, I think we are seeing, like, to extrapolate out a little bit, like, I think we are seeing sort of a desperate last throes of white supremacy in this country. Like, I think that's in charge. I mean, I don't think white supremacy is going anywhere. If anything, it's going to get worse. But I think that idea of we gotta fucking make these people pay because I don't want to be on the other side of this shit. And so this is the type of shit you're saying. I take a little bit of solace.
Literally,
I do.
It goes literally hand in hand with the slow, inexorable march of the death of modern conservatism.
Yes,
as well.
Yeah, it does.
So that's why you're seeing the backlash against abortion and things of that nature, because they know 20 years time
it's fucking over.
It's gonna be a whole different landscape politically.
Yep. Yeah, good. And then maybe somebody can ask Mike Parsons what the fuck his problem is. So, yeah, that just that entire story really just pissed me off, and I intellectually tried to avoid it because I knew that it was going to be on some bullshit, and then when I read it, I was like, yeah, I hate being right. I wish it was just like, nah, dude, that guy's totally did it, and like everyone's just up in arms, and maybe they're just being overly dramatic. No, they weren't, and I knew in my heart of hearts that they weren't, and I wish that they were. I wish that they were. But they weren't. So, yeah, fuck you, Parsons. Go fuck yourself. Speaking of fuckers, Mark Robinson is in the news.
Yeah, speaking of racist pieces of shit.
Yeah. Look, once again, shout out to Brad working on cleanup for the Mark Robinson campaign over the last week. It's been a rough go. I know. It's funny. Brad is a man of the people. He's all about DEI. He's been working on the Mark Robinson campaign. He's also been doing PR for Diddy. It's been a hell of a week for you, Brad.
Why are you trying to do this to me?
No.
What is
look,
wrong with you?
Don't ever miss another show trying to destroy your life. No. This is the best opening of a CNN article or headline for a CNN article I've seen in a long time. Quote: "I am a black Nazi." North Carolina GOP nominee for governor made dozens of disturbing comments on a porn forum. Who hasn't, really? Mark Robinson, the controversial and socially conservative Republican nominee for governor of North Carolina, made a series of inflammatory comments on a pornography website message board more than a decade ago, in which he referred to himself as a, quote, black Nazi in all capital letters, and expressed support for reinstating slavery, which is real cool. He also liked to let people know that even though he's anti-trans, very publicly, he was fucking getting it on with himself watching trans porn because, quote, I'm a perv.
There is
shocking.
There is so much in this story from CNN. So again,
way,
like
he says he did. This is not true. He's maintaining his innocence.
Okay. Word of advice to Mark Robinson: if you want to distance yourself from these stories, don't use literally the same username on every single platform that you post on.
Yeah, I mean, like my Pornhub account is named I Am Brad. Like I don't use my other name. That's stupid.
There are lots of Brads. That could be anybody.
That could be. I Am Brad from Look Forward. Why is that your username? No reason. I really like that name. Yeah, so this dummy used the same name. Like CNN, they're like, we've got to do some really investigative reporting. They were just like, oh, that's his username. Oh, and he put his real name when you look at his profile on Nude Africa, which is the website he was jerking off to, which I'm sure has tons of new followers. He put like, oh, what's your actual name? He's like, Mark Robinson, and then put his email that he's been using to like a personal email that he's like signed up for shit that like people have emailed him to. Like, it's him. It is in fact him. Because he's a dummy. Which also is hilarious because it also begs the question, why would I vote for a person that's this stupid, right? Like this guy's not even smart enough to hide his weird.
It's not even like there's so much like it obviously like it's the username, it's the personal details that are matching up. It's these weird like colloquialisms that he uses that like are happening, both like he uses them on Twitter and they're also popping up on this site now. It's incredible, and like it's also like I heard the point made. It's incredible this wasn't found sooner because he is the lieutenant governor of North Carolina. He had to win an election,
right,
to get into that position.
This is hilarious. By the way, I went to nudeafrica.com. Nude Africa free message board is currently closed. The Nude Africa.
I'm about to say, I'm surprised you didn't have a current account over there. So
I don't. I'm trying to sign up. Oh, they won't. I gotta pay money. Get out of here. Wow, $25 for 30 days. Wow, Mark Robinson's got big money. By the way, he also had an Ashley Madison account.
Yep.
That's the website for folks who don't know. That's a website you use to cheat on your spouse. So that's cool. Look, he says that he's going to sue CNN. I don't know if you know, but Discovery is a thing. So, like, by all means, dude, they're going to get more. My guess is,
Republicans say a lot of things.
Yeah, he's going to go. He'll sue. Right, and they're like, all right, we're getting ready to do Discovery, and he's like, drop that. Like, fucking let's. Scuttle. Enough of that. Look,
problem though, big problem though. He may not believe that this reporting is true, but his campaign staff does.
Yeah, they do.
Because he lost his senior advisor. He lost his campaign manager, his deputy campaign manager, and his finance director.
Oh,
all in the wake of this story coming out.
Like, all in the same day. They were just like, we're fucking out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Brad, there is a wrinkle to this story. One could say a silver lining. Please give the longtime listeners the best part of this story.
Well, oftentimes when you need when your campaign staff bails on you, you need to look for the guy that's going to come in and step up and get things back on track. And none other than an old Look Forward favorite, Jack Berkman, is on the case.
Jack Berkman, dude.
Jack Berkman, late of going to prison for a robocall scam.
Yes.
With our good friend Jacob Wohl.
How is Jacob Wohl not? How was he not involved?
Yet? How is he not involved yet, Jay? That's the question.
Come on, Jacob Wall. He can't look. He's
how is he not involved yet?
Liberal coffee shop or something? Is he busy?
I mean, you know, Berkman's like already designing the robocall campaign for the Mark Robinson get out the vote effort, right?
Dude, those guys are dumb as a box of bricks, man. They really are. Look, Jack Berkman coming back. I mean, this is boys are back in town, Thin Lizzy territory, right? Like this is just too fucking good. Dude, you gotta call Jacob Wall. You gotta get the team back together, man. You gotta get them back together.
Now here's and again, like I am concerned about this for one specific reason, you know, because obviously Mark Robinson has really stepped in it here, had the support of the Republican, you know, political electorate essentially and politicians and stuff like that. And the minute this shit happens, they're out like the fucking roaches running away from the motel. So the only plausible scenario that happens here, this is how Mark Robinson becomes the Penguin. where he's now going to enact his plot to steal all of North Carolina's firstborn sons.
Look, will Mark Robinson eat a fish on air? Inquiring minds. God, Danny DeVito was so gross in that role. He's down by 11 points, which is pretty good.
That's not a large enough gap for my liking.
No, it should be 90-10. Like, I mean, but I got to tell you, this is wonderful because yes, it is going to. I mean, look, Mark Robinson was going to lose anyway. It seemingly.
Well, here's the thing to preempt your point. So, in the wake of this news coming out, Republicans, like national, like high-ranking Republicans in North Carolina and national Republicans of Providence, were begging him to drop out of the race because the deadline to do so was like a week ago.
But it was like the day after this came out.
Yeah, and they were like, "You have to drop because you are going to sink the rest of this ticket like an anchor if you stay on." And he's like, I will not leave this campaign. And so now they are stuck with him on the ballot.
Dude, when it was like he has until midnight, do you know, because I'm in a different time zone, right? I'm 2 hours before you on the East Coast. I was like, I'm counting down the minutes, and I saw that fucking clock hit 10. I was like, they are fucked. They are super fucked. What are you doing? Look, I don't know who they would even pick. Like the Republican Party would literally be better. No, but the Republican Party would literally be better if he had quit and they put up no one against Stein. No one.
Yeah.
Because at least you could be like, well, that guy's out of the race. Thank God, right? Anybody who was thinking of not voting is going to be like, well, fuck that guy. I'm voting against that guy, right? Like, look, if you're a black conservative and you're like, fucking Mark Robinson was the guy. He's like, I'm a black Nazi. You got to be like, Jesus Christ, did you have to use the N-word? That N-word? Like, fuck. You want slavery back? Jesus, what are we doing?
And what I've particularly enjoyed out of this is the supercut that we've gotten to see over and over again.
Wonderful.
Of Donald Trump fucking throwing his arms around Mark Robinson, calling him Martin Luther King Jr. times 2, like Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids, a rising star of the Republican Party.
Meanwhile, Mark Robinson literally said that MLK Jr. was like lower than a bug or some shit like that. Like he's done nothing but insulted MLK. He's a horrible person. He recently, just in the midst of this, he came out and said that he wishes that Al Sharpton was shot. Like, he's an awful fucking person. Look, by all means, drape your arms around Mark Robinson. Wear him like a fucking boat anchor, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that because while Trump is distancing himself because he just rallied in North Carolina this week, and Mark Robinson was supposed to be there.
Yep.
And he was not there, and he was not mentioned by name at all. Trump also has not gone out of his way to denounce Mark Robinson, which would be a very politically intelligent thing to do, and neither has JD Vance. JD Vance, in fact, has gone out, because JD Vance is the only one actually doing interviews right now on the ticket. Like Trump hasn't been asked this directly, but JD Vance has. And JD Vance can't give a straight answer to whether he will denounce Mark Robinson, which is insane to me.
Yeah, it's like, bro, this is the easiest fucking choice you've ever had to make. We're not cool with that shit. Next one.
Yeah.
But the longer you fucking try to dodge it and fucking try to play fast and loose with it, guess what? You only got a couple more days, homeboy. Because he's gonna get ready to hang that shit right around your neck at the debate. You think that's not gonna get brought up? You think Tim Walz is gonna let you walk into that debate and never mention that you're cool with a black Nazi?
You think the moderators are gonna let you get away with it?
Fuck.
Hey, in the wake of this, you were asked if you would denounce Mark Robinson, and your answer was something to the line, well, the allegations are the allegations, and he needs to explain what was meant by them. Why do you have trouble distancing yourself from a guy who called himself a black Nazi and said that some people need to be owned as slaves?
He's like,
why?
It's like, yeah, but see, here's the thing. I love Curtis Yarvin, and that guy believes that, so I kind of believe that too, but I can't say it, so I'm just gonna pivot, right?
And because again, if you're that ticket, you have to just be like, all right, well, governor's race is fucked. We're losing that one. We got to make sure to consolidate our presidential votes.
But here's the thing. There is no way that people are going to go to that booth and be like, oh, shit, Mark Robinson's a fucking dirtbag. Can't wait to vote for Trump. No way, dude. No, it's going to turn people the fuck off, especially if it's brought up in a debate and you don't unequivocally say, fuck this guy. And look,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You have to specifically distance yourself from him. You have to. You can't just do this like, well, if I don't talk about him, then no one will be the wiser.
And by the way, I can understand somebody saying, well, that's not fair to ask him about that, and like you just let Walz kind of pile on. No, this is an easy solution. Hey, Tim Walz, are you cool with what's happening with Eric Adams in New York? Are you supporting him? Fuck no, that's corrupt. I'm out. The allegations look pretty fun. All you have to do is say, hey, look, the allegations look pretty goddamn serious. If he did what he is being charged in doing, we absolutely do not support it, and we don't want his support, and we do not support him. We believe in holding our people accountable. Hey, JD Vance, same question about Mark Robinson. Like, I don't know. And look, but the easiest political move is, if what you say is true, we absolutely think that's abhorrent and unacceptable. That's all you have to say. You don't even have to say, do we believe him? If it turns out that stuff is true, absolutely it's unacceptable. And we are against it. The problem is there's a difference of like, this guy is federally corrupt because of like, playing fast and loose with campaign shit, versus this guy called for slavery to be reinstated and he says he's a Nazi. So even if he didn't say it, you may just want to distance yourself fucking anyway, just in case. Mm-hmm. You're too close to the election. Oh, he turns out he didn't say it. Well, fucking too late for that shit. I couldn't risk it. Like, you can't risk hanging out with a fucking black Nazi.
He literally said, bring back slavery, I'd buy some.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Like, this is not a guy to ride or die for. Like, it just is.
No.
And also, by the way, here's how I know he definitely said it. Because he's already said horrendous things before. It's not like, if I read this and it's like, Tim Walz said that, I'd be like, that's really seemingly out of character. When I saw this, I was like, this tracks perfectly with who Mark Robinson is. Listen to all the shit he said in public. So, yeah, I'm not fucking surprised. Oh, a guy who's vehemently anti-trans is jerking off the trans porn? Yeah, that tracks. Like, it absolutely tracks. Oh, a guy who said he's vehemently against abortion? Oh, his wife got an abortion? Yeah, that tracks. Right? Like, everything that he comes out super hardcore and, civil rights movement was fucking bullshit. Yeah, this guy's for fucking slavery. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, all the things that he's saying all track very normally with sort of, I got all of this dark shadow shit that's in my head that I'm trying to like cover up by saying the wildest opposite shit. It makes total sense. So, yeah, at that debate, they're going to throw that shit right at your feet, homeboy. You better have an answer. You bet, because he came out today and was like, I'm not even doing that much prep for the debate. All right, you can try to work the refs all you want. I recommend you get to work. Like, if you're lying, whatever, it's a stupid tactic, and I can't stand when either side does it. But if you're being serious, I wouldn't do that. That feels like a real fucking mistake. I'm gonna go back and watch.
Look what happened to your boss, who also didn't do a lot of prep.
Exactly. And you ain't gonna be like, what are you gonna do? Inflation is really up, but it's not though.
9 more.
That's at like 2.53%. I just looked at.
Yeah, Fed just cut rates. Like next question.
No, they're cutting it for Kamala Harris. What? Oh,
yeah, Jerome Powell's not a Democrat, guys. Last I checked.
Why don't they just give him? They gave Joe Biden the lever. It's like interest rates, and then he gets it up or down. Just what Trump wanted, right? He just do it on his own. Like, no.
Again, Donald Trump thinks he should have that power.
Yeah, which is insane. Yeah. But I'm sure in his monarchy, in his Russian apartment that he'll live in after this election, I'm sure he'll be able to do that. They'll give him a big old button. He's like, interest rates down. They're like, sure, Don, sure. It's working. That's what's happening. Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.